And the track hearing is Night versus when Rose White. Yeah. So like most people, I heard it on a podcast and there's only a clip really. But I was just very interested in this. I stopped by to watch while they played because I'm always interested in like guitar players and YouTube shorts, and there are some really impressive ones out there. I've never heard anything like this. It's fucking insane. Someone who utilises pretty much all parts of the A string from what I could tell, and it's extremely impressive. But I think even more impressive than that, I think, is, I'm not sure if the tab is correct, but the tuning is very interesting. I saw like FC, I think F again, and it's kind of insane. I don't know what tuning this is. Is it like actual F standard or what? It sounds crazy, and obviously the open string parts are not like normal in that sense. Not even standard tuning. I just love this track. It's so unique. It's also refreshing as well, given that a lot of times heavy music we just hear with tons of distortion and obviously like the lower gauge strings and tunings and stuff. Obviously this is quite refreshing because it's heavy and dark without needing to go that route of metal, and yeah, I did see someone say it sounds a bit like OPEF, but I don't really hear it in my opinion. Although some parts feel like the chords maybe a bit, but the chords are quite interesting because they're actually playing not a dissonant, but somewhat not in the power chord sort of thing. So I think it's like a fret up if I'm not mistaken, or maybe a fret down. Half step, a half step even. So I'm not 100% sure exactly, because I'm not really a music theory guy. But hearing this has certainly inspired me, and that leads into the first topic, I think. I'll see if I can play it. Also, quote I heard before this track I heard, it's just insane. But anyway, I want to talk about 8 strings, because I think the idea has come up again, and I'm thinking, okay, I'm maybe not that satisfied with my Ormsby. At the same time, though, even though I kind of prefer 7 strings, I kind of want an 8 string anyway. I don't necessarily want to break the bank, but at the same time, I want it to be useful. Because if I end up getting a proper audio setup in the future, I just want the 8 string, obviously, but also it's handy to have anyway. I just play the music in general. So I'm just kind of unsure about that. Also, I've got small hands, and that's a problem. Like, let me double check this actually. So I've got like my fingers about, yeah, I could just about reach an 8 string, but it's like really fucking dodgy. Like, I don't know exactly how to do that on an 8 string and stuff, but I could just about play that riff on E standard, I think. Yeah, sort of like that. But yeah, obviously with that track, wind? No, Rosewell. I keep thinking Wind Rose for some reason. So it's not. Uh, it's really interesting because I just love how there's so much like hybrid picking. I think it's hybrid picking. There's like so many notes being played. It's like not a single space that's being wasted essentially. And that's honestly really impressive for composition stuff. I just find it fascinating, and it legit has me wondering. Maybe I should just try and start making music again with my, well, audio and stuff. I think the only problem is I need to find a way to remove like audio stuff that's not in use somehow by the end of a project. But it's also just really hard to track, and that's one of the issues with recording and stuff. But even then, it would just be nice to have an 8 string. And I think I'm eyeing up either an American brand, I'm not sure how reliable it is. Found it here, it's called the Locator. I'm not sure again how viable this is. My only other option is Ormsby, but I need to preset my location to UK and see Then the other one that I've looked at is probably a bossy guitars, ironically, same in that video. But I'm looking at like the Rod 8 Emerald Burst, which looks pretty fucking cool. It's quite vintage looking, but it's also quite unique. It's different. And it looks old. It looks fucking insane. And you know, bossy guitars generally are quite impressive, from what I can tell. And yeah, the tone on this as well, the tone on that track, that obviously we just listened to, it's just insane. Also, what's the, I didn't think about the scale, 25.5 to 27.5, oh, that's interesting. So is that, I'm not sure if that's full watch scale, maybe it is. Mine's like a 25.5 and 27, I believe, on the Allsby. Yeah, again, this is like something to look into. But it's like just tackling the idea to begin with, and also need to find a way to afford it anyway. But you know, I also feel a bit embarrassed too, just going with that, because I also don't really want to dish out for a guitar, and I've obviously bought so many and sold so many others as well. It feels awkward. I almost wish I could trade in the short guitar here, even though it's really nice and unique as well. I just kind of wish I could trade in for something else. Trade it in for an 8 string, obviously, and see what it's like. But also, I would want to try an 8 string. This is the issue. And to see if I like it, even multi-scale. But I kind of think I'll just get used to it anyway, like I have with every other instrument I have over time. But also the annoying thing as well that comes with this is I also plan on playing keyboard as well, and it's just like, oh, I don't know, like the priority of things is far different. And I guess I'll do like research and put things on my wish list, and yeah, work at them over time. But I think keyboards, you know, in terms of like playing and stuff, MIDI, I think a keyboard might be the way to go potentially. I'm also trying my best with VSTs and stuff to make tracks sound good. But the problem is I know that if I start playing music as well myself, people are just going to start criticising that as well in ways that I can't control. They're going to say it's not like picked loud enough. Say like the pickups are shit, which oh, at least on this one. And so converting it to an 8 string just doesn't seem like a very optimal idea in my opinion. So I do need to like swap pickups on this. So again, I don't know, it's a pretty rough spot, and I've got the priority things to buy at the moment, so I can't necessarily dish out. Like I could add it to the list. I've also got like brand new computers. This is the thing, it's so fucking expensive, and it feels necessary as well. I just need to save up for some other bits. Steam controls on today, but I should probably order them at some point. Yeah, as I said, it's like complicated. I don't know the best solution here. Again, I'm also like planning on getting another bass as well to replace my current sort of E string one, E standard. I mean, it's actually B standard technically, but I just want one that's multi-scale, and also want to give Headless a try for once. That seems lighter, and maybe it's better for down tuning, so maybe I might switch the two. I might use the Spectre that I have for E standard and E flat, and then obviously the Headless for lower tunings. Obviously that might be heavier. Actually, what is the scale of the one I found? Because that's a good point. Ibanez Bass Workshop EHB 150. Was it not refreshing? Okay, I guess I can't see an image. Thanks, internet. Fucking useless. Just search it, it'll come up from it. Scale, where is that? The fuck isn't there a scale? Hello? Scale? It's like the most basic thing, scale. Oh, it's in millimeters for some reason. Oh, inches. Which doesn't help. 35 to 33. So I think that's a bit below. Is that? Oh, I don't know the scales for bases. It's sort of hard to determine. But I think it'd do anyway. I think definitely work. It's hard to say. Yeah, that should work. No, wait a minute. No, it's a bit shorter, ain't it? So no, it'd be better as a standard, wouldn't it? It's kind of the annoying thing, because it's like better for like heavy gauge, but then again I'm not switching strings often. So I'll probably leave as is in that case. Yeah, 8 strings would be interesting to try. I'd obviously need to get a proper guitar hanger for that too. I only have like one other space for a guitar, so it does complicate things, but it's also another complication. I just remembered it. The bossy classical guitar. I think this adds some complication too, because I don't know how much it would cost exactly. If it does have a cost, sometimes it's cheap and sometimes it's not. I certainly think it might cost a fair bit of money, regardless. Also, it depends on what people say too. Like, I'm fine with a quad guitar. I'm fine with something that's not 100% classical. I'm not getting it for that. Just getting it for strumming, really. And also just live next to me. Because the chamber's sort of inside rather than outside. And speaking of which, I did try to look for an update on that, and there's nothing. So I can't tell if anyone's actually got their hands on one. I've seen it played at like NAMM show, or not NAMM is something else. Bossy classical. So I'll look it up again. Just haven't seen anything on it. Nothing there. These videos are irrelevant. And there's still a guy saying it's like awful. Fuck off. This channel is a joke. I don't understand this channel. Just rips on anything that isn't the same sort of thing as he likes. It's like a complete, what was it? What do you call it actually? Preferential thing, that's it. No classical guitar, you can see. Just take another guy playing here. Just a West. So it's not really the raw sound though, that's the issue. See him writing it, so just seems to be the inside pickup from what I could tell. I'd say it isn't like the appeal for me with this. It's really the raw sound I'm trying to look at. Yeah, again, sort of interesting. So I don't know. Again, it's like kind of complicated situation. Don't really know the best solution here, but I want to try an 8 string, as goes without saying. We'll see multi-scale, should be fine with that. Yeah, I don't know what else to add, to be honest. That's about it for this topic. So I need to record this because it's embarrassing. So about the 8 string, there's been two different things. There's been a realisation that if I get an 8 string that actually sounds good, and it appears there might be, I'll talk about that after, then I'll be able to use it for recording and everything, which would be great. But obviously, as it's convenient, I can do like both leads and rhythm. The only problem is getting the recordings done, and I just tried it now with my normal guitar here, and the difference between the VST and my guitar is like identical. Except for the additional slides and better vibrato range, there isn't too much difference, so what then? Like, what can we do exactly? And if I had to guess, maybe, I don't know how possible this is, I could just possibly switch between the two anyway. So I could just use both, in a way, to get it to work, although I need to figure out a noise gate, to be fair. But it's just so bizarre because I feel like it's possible, but at the same time it's not. There's also a part of me that really strongly wants to be able to make a track like just with guitars and really show that off. Have that be like a very positive thing. But obviously the issue is I can't really play. And I keep coming back to that every time. When I try to learn the riff for the current cover I'm working on, teaser, it's a Pokemon track. Even though it's very simple, it's still quite hard to time it. And that was like the first big problem there. So timing is still an issue, especially because of the delay that was on there. It's at least over 30 milliseconds, I think. Just over that, I think, based on my judgment. And it was enough to miss a beat. Like, I got everything else right, and then I missed a beat. I don't know how. But it's so bizarre, and I could literally just cut it and then paste a bit of the sustain, but I'm not sure. Like, it's sort of difficult to address that. But also, I was sitting here with the guitar and thinking, my Ormsby X here, and I was thinking like, okay, should I just retune this, restring it rather? And I've got like my strings there, but I don't even know what to put on it. I could look at the holes actually when I think about it, but how visible are they? I think they're kind of visible actually. In the light, a bit better. So like two of them don't think are new, which is weird. And the top one's okay. It's actually the fact that the Dario colour codes them is fucking good. Because I could tell which ones I've used and not. I think I've used the standard actually, I'll think about it. Also can tell by the cuts on the pegs, I think, as well. For some reason my A string, A string, won't slot through for some reason. So it's a bit weird on there. So I've basically replaced every string but E and B at that point, which is good I suppose, but also kind of concerned. Well, I want to get this to play down tunings and stuff. It's on D standard at the moment. It was a bit of a job to tune because I was also trying to figure out how to play F sharp on this with obviously the B string, but also I need to down tune it more to like C or even just B actually. The B standard drop E is probably the way to go in terms of recording a rhythm with this. But I'm also kind of like, why don't I just get an A string in the end? It just makes the most sense to me, and I can have more fun with that as well. And also, with something like Slotsmith, when that eventually returns, I think there's a possibility that, you know, learning through that, learning the tracks I want to learn, like even just that previous one in this podcast, is a very real possibility. And I think that's certainly a good goal to work towards. But there is an interesting revelation, as I've discovered, although the problem is there's not many listings for it for some reason in the UK. I did some research, and I looked for a guitar that was affordable but sounded good. That was as simple as it is. And I found one, but it's so hard to find. So there's one selling for $19 from 121 in the US. What the fuck? Does that sound right? So why is it showing US listing? Okay, I found another one. But it's the Colt KX 508 MS2. Weird fucking name. I think it's a signature model if I'm not mistaken, but I don't really obviously care that much about signatures. But it has decent pickups anyway, like Fishman fluents are not too bad based on what I've heard. You could definitely make sort of like Mick Gordon-y sort of riffs with this. And for the price as well, it's a bargain, even with the more stressful points of it, like the maybe sharp frets, maybe the shoddy woodwork. I really only want this for a bit of an appearance and mainly functionality. And this does it, I think. I think it's probably the one I'm going to get, even regardless. But as for what I'm going to do with the Shark, I don't know. As simple as that is. Like the Shark guitar I love, but it's kind of like this niche is sort of lost on me, and I think I'd rather just put it in a collection or something, or maybe just hang it up somewhere. Actually, I could do that. Now think about it, I might have some space to hang it up somewhere else. Might be able to figure out a way, but it would be nice to have that. Actually, no, maybe not. I'll stick over the bathroom door, but I'm not sure. But I'll figure something out, I think, somewhere along the line. Although there is that bit above my computer, which is it's not fair. The only problem is obviously the wind and stuff, and I don't think it'd smash my monitor, but it might hit the tempered glass in my PC case. But yeah, I think the core KX508 looks pretty damn good, and sounds pretty damn good too. But I'm no expert on that sort of stuff, and I think it's gonna have to be worth a try anyway. It's not a stupidly expensive guitar, it's like almost on the high range side in my opinion, for at least what guitars come to. And yeah, even though people say there's like a regret rate with this, I don't see it. Because the things that they point out are kind of niche in my opinion. They're not like the biggest problem. It's weird. Like some saying the sharp frets and then the lack of a kill switch, apparently it being fan fret, even though it's kind of a niche to learn anyway. It doesn't make sense. Also, the scale length is very weird on this because I've known electric guitars to be 25.5 at the high end. So I don't know why this is 26.5. That does seem a bit bizarre to me. It means that you can tune it to like F sharp, I think, or F rather, on the E standard because it's now a. Wait, does it? No, hang on. No, shorter links that do that. Okay, so it means you could go lower. It's just very interesting. So you could tune it to. It's like fucking nuts, like what's a tuning like D sharp maybe or D, C sharp. You could probably go all the way down to B actually, which is actually like a bass tuning. It's just absolutely nuts. It's like standard bass. But yeah, I think I figured it out anyway. I might give it a try. I might try it with obviously my original music first, so I can get used to it. I think that's the best way to do it. Obviously, it's when I get it, if I get it as well. It's not really a big if, to be honest. Like compared to the bass, I was looking at. I'm still like maybe looking for another bass too. Like first string. I was gonna get a 6-string at worst. First string was scale bass, but I don't want to break the bank as well. It's the thing I keep coming back to. I spend so much on fucking guitars, and I'm just tired of it when guitars don't exactly do the thing I want it to. It gets a bit annoying. I gotta admit. So I just sort of wish it was better. And why is it showing articles for this? I'm looking for thingies. So there's like that Dingwall that I've seen Dingwall, but I don't really like it. I think it's a bit overrated in my opinion. So I get the idea, but it's also extremely overrated. See it everywhere. And it's just because Adam Dolly plays it. It's just I could do without a Dingwall, especially because of its bone nut as well. I wish I was able to swap that out or also purchase and stuff. Yeah. And I've thought about getting like second hand and stuff, but OCD sort of makes me not want to. Makes it difficult for me in that sense. Just kind of not like it. There's not really any 5-string multi-scales that interest me, and also I like having an art piece. That's the thing with musical instruments that fascinates me, is when they look kind of different and cool. That's when they pique my interest a lot. Yeah, I thought about the Ibanez BTB. Again, it's like trying to find one that's different. That's new. Flowing natural. It's like a wooden texture with pop-up bell, but it's like nice and orangey. Ooh, I know this bass anyway. I've seen it around. It does look pretty nice, I'm not gonna lie. Might add that actually to see. It's another option. It's a bit cheaper than the other one. They're headless. Yeah, I don't know what else to say here. Again, it's very niche. I think there's a convenience to having one for recording everything. But also I've got that Scovers coming as well, which also I'm probably never going to give up because it's going to be fucking amazing. But that'd be better as a lead instrument, in my opinion. There's also the complication of bass, which I still struggle to play for some reason. Even though I can play it, it's like it's a bit weird. In some ways, I just have sloppy playing, and for some reason my fingering is very bad on it at times. Not 100% sure why that is though. Yeah, I don't know. It's all stuff that's sort of in the air at the moment, trying to figure it out. As I said, I did compare a lead playing to a lead VST as I've done, and it is just almost like no different. It is the case where where's my guitar line? Okay. Just figuring out where to use it and stuff. But I don't know. The thing is, you could get more expression on me playing guitar. I know that, and it's also a bit more unique, but it's also just harder to do for my situation specifically. I did, believe it or not, when I actually started this, fun fact, I actually did start out playing guitar, but my playing was so fucking bad that it was basically impossible, and I don't even know if I have like the earliest recording. I made like a Toho sounding track, and it wasn't great. It's like based on something I wrote, actual fanfic thing. No, it's not there. Okay, probably deleted it. It's so long ago now. Could try and look again, but somehow doubt it's there. It's going back all the way to tabs. Just figuring out stuff. No, I'm not seeing it. Witcher 3 thing. Yeah, nothing there. Yeah, I don't know what else to add, to be honest, about it, so let's move on. So I had to restart the recording for obvious reasons. Just, yeah, I'm just mess at the moment. People might be wondering how the fuck I'm running full panic mode around various factors at the moment, like, what do you call it? That's just regarding homophobia around the world and all the bullshit around that. And I think it's very simple, to be honest. I think the thing for me that gives me great comfort is knowing that, truthfully, I am being true to myself. Strange as it sounds, but I'm also like truthful about things here in general. And I think if people confront me on that, I'm comfortable to say that myself being pansexual, even though it doesn't really change much, I think the reality is that they need to come to understand and accept this. They need to accept the reality of this. And it's absurd that, rather, it's absurd if they don't. Because it's just ridiculous. Like, come on. But again, the other thing I think about is also what if people just ignore me about it? What if the call for the truth is completely ignored and thrown away for one reason or another? And I think if people choose to do that, then feel free. Like, if you want to fight, if you want to kill someone, you have to live with those consequences for those alone. But you also have to live with the consequence of having not learnt the truth, having not tried to understand something. And that's a big fucking regret that you'll end up having, just as a result of this, really. You seriously cannot ignore the reality there of the world at large and these issues around it. Like, come on, it's a bit silly, in all honesty. I do think murdering someone for being truthful to themselves is a bit ridiculous. Well, it is ridiculous, I'm saying. Because, as again, it's the reality here. It's the thing that exists and is real, and you can't change it. If people are gay, they know why they're gay. If they know they're attracted to the other gender, the same gender rather. Both, really. Both folk as well. And they understand it. It's not really a big question, a big ask either. And I think that's important to acknowledge there. So I think it's ridiculous when people don't come to accept these truths. Well, but again, why would you go so far as to harm someone when you could just try and fucking figure it out instead, with that time, with the effort that it took to kill someone? Honestly, one of the things I learned with my own hatred around types of people and the world in general, the best antidote is to simply do research, to understand what it is, what's going on, why things are the way they are. I did it with, for example, paedophiles, who I was very concerned about because they kept appearing, obviously, and it's not good. I did it with other people I've generally hated, like trans people I used to hate. Immigrants, for example, I used to hate at a certain point. I don't know what came out recently. It's just a whole fucking mess of stuff, and I think people do need to acknowledge that stuff again. Like, come on, get to the point where you're questioning things rather than acting on them. And that's really when you've changed, that's when you've shown some resistance and resilience. And even then, like, just an element of truth there. Like, you understand the reality here. Like, what do I even fucking say? It's just insane. But I do think this is stupidly important. This is why I'm genuinely not scared as well. I can't get away from the fact that the world is probably not going to accept me anytime soon. But I can at least try to influence people, I can try to convince them. And I think that is a very important factor, it's a big deal. And again, that's like the reality of this. What do I even need to fucking say? I don't know what's that hard, to be honest. I'm tired, and well, weirdly enough, I'm not actually tired. It's a fucking strange thing about now. Just barely awake and getting distracted by looking for an 8-string guitar to try. That's a cool synthwave one. But Yeah, like, this is the thing. I just think people need to fucking wake up, grow up, do research instead of murdering someone. Do that. Do research. It's not fucking hard, and I think people can figure this out. I think that's stupidly important. Um, I don't know what else to add here, to be honest. I've said pretty much everything I can. And I think it is important. Um, I can only hope people listen, people take my advice into account to understand these things, to get the point. Yeah, I don't know where to start, to be honest. Yeah, that's it, I think, in terms of this topic. I don't really have anything to say, anything to add. So let's move on. So, I just heard about that attack against 5 Muslim people. Or was it 2? I think it's 2. And 3 additional people after. But I'm not sure if they were obviously like Muslim or coming from the mosque, as is the case in this story. But it's extremely disappointing to see. Obviously, it just shows that humanity is just going backwards at a fucking alarming rate. It's just getting absurd now, to the point where I don't even know if it's really safe to even be on the streets as someone who's like Muslim or even like Jewish. Like, legitimately. Just so many fucking problems around the world now with all this crap. And no easy solution either. So it just really sucks. It's also just unfortunate to obviously have this happening. Like, what do I even say? What do I even add? You know, the world is disappointing as fuck, as you can expect. And I really just hope things get resolved wherever they can. I don't know, it's hard to know with today. So many fucking complications when it comes to these things, and I just don't know. Hopefully this goes without saying again with like, politics. I hate to bring this up, I think I've brought it up before. But it's also just in general and about society. And that is, there is no question too uncomfortable. Like, come the fuck on already. Like, I find it baffling when people are out there, and as I've seen recently, I almost reported on this but didn't. There's that case where there was an Islamophobic attack recently, and the guy was claiming to protect the country, like by doing that in Scotland, where I'm pretty sure the Muslim population is like barely anything. I could be mistaken, but this is the sort of shit where it goes unhinged, and you need to actually do research. You need to question these things. You need to understand things, like on the previous topics about homophobia. You literally need to have the reason to do this, as in to actually justify what it is you're doing. And so far, nobody really does that. And excuse me for irritating, I'm trying to figure out a way to store letters that I'm not putting away. So, it baffles me, and I'm always disappointed when this shit happens. It just feels like such bullshit, really. I really think the world could learn a lesson from critical thinking. And this is very much one of the most obvious, blatant cases where that would benefit us greatly. It's an unbelievable amount of bullshit that we just see on a day-to-day basis with this stuff. And I see people also bring up a question towards the left, which I also think is valid. I think people need to be asking questions about us, about what we're doing. And I think it obviously depends on how critical these people are thinking when it comes to, well, figuring out these things, figuring out what our deal is, what we're trying to do. And again, I'll just come back to this idea where if you can't answer a question, or at least signpost a way to answer a question, you've probably lost. You've most definitely lost the argument here. And the more and more this goes on, the more I start to believe it, because I literally cannot understand why people would go this far. Again, school shootings in America, or just outright attacks against foreign people, or whatever it is. I just cannot comprehend it. Don't comprehend it. I'm not going to do that. I can't even do a funny at that point. Don't even know how to. But that's essentially it. And I think there needs to be questions asked. And one of the things I saw, which I need to mention now, is about Sharia law as it relates to Muslims and Islam. And it's a valid question for sure. I think it's fine to have that, to question that anyway. And I think my answer is very simple. Not all Islamic people are the same. And that pretty much goes without saying. But you have to weigh it up against, for example, what they actually believe and what they don't believe. So for example, and I haven't done research on this to be clear, and I think we all need to, and this is going to be a surprising thing for some lefties, I think. We need to know what exactly their view is on Sharia law. Because if there is a majority saying that we absolutely need Sharia law, then we also need to address that. We need to have discussions. We need to explain to people that having a theocracy is not a good idea. It never works out. You can see this in other countries, and it criminalises people who aren't actually criminals. So you can obviously see where it goes wrong. And this is what I mean by educate people on this. Both people who are Islamophobic and people who follow Islam. It's both. And I think that's really important, because knowing what I know about Sharia law is essentially a way to control the masses, convict people who are religious, and get rid of non-believers and gay people and whoever it is. There's literally nobody untouchable in those situations. So it is a big deal. So I think it is important to really question these things, and also do our proper research on like Sharia law and stuff to understand what the big threat is. Because I go to some people don't even know what it is. And from what I know, it's again just anti-LGBTQ stuff. I think there's even like a bit of paedophilia in there as well, which unfortunately will appeal to certain racists because they're those sort of people, and it's been proven all the way. But that's one of the dangers we see from that. And this is how we should be addressing it. We should be saying, oh, there may be a problem with Sharia law. We need to discuss this, but we can't put it into law. And that's very much an obvious thing, and I think the best argument against this, in my opinion, is one of science, fact. That's it. It's like science and fact. Because I think these are the two best ways to get laws that work for people and benefit people. And this is why I say that I'm not necessarily a socialist by choice. It's by necessity, because everything that relates to socialism, from what I can tell, is everything that I've found out as a truth leads to it. And that is very much plainly out there. It's obvious it's the truth. And if it weren't the truth, I'd obviously stop believing it. It's very simple. So I do think it's a thing that needs to be discussed and addressed. And also it's fair to even have thoughts about questioning socialism. But as it currently stands, because we don't enforce truth in society, and then it misleads people and people mislead each other, we don't actually have very good rules or very good laws to address these problems. Sorry, hence the EHRC code for trans people of recently. Because if you were to actually do the research, I guarantee you won't find any correlation between trans panic in bathrooms and like trans crimes or anything, you won't find any correlation there. Where trans people existing does anything bad to women's bathrooms. For some reason, it's only ever women's, it's not men's for some reason. But yeah, but I think it's an issue. But again, doing the research, or looking into the studies are good with the methodology, and this is an important thing. Some studies are forged to fail, made to fail essentially, and some are not. I mean, you could discover that methodology is like something like maybe forcing people to transition when they're not even supposed to or can necessarily. Like we're talking people who haven't even got gender dysphoria. Then the study's going to say, oh, trans people will often detransition. But obviously they fucking will, if they don't have the reasons to do it, which is gender dysphoria. Like, it's so obvious, and yet someone will study that, say it's definitive proof, people will use it, definitive proof, that transitioning never works. Of course it won't in that fucking situation. It's a bit like if I gave someone only a diet of, like, I'm trying to think, like no fibre maybe, or it's basically similar to a health study. It's like feeding people too much of something, like too much meat, maybe doing carnivore versus vegan. And, you know, the problem with a carnivore diet is obviously it's bad for you, but they'll say, like, something in the methodology where a carnivore is usually like over 90% meat. They'll do something in the study where they give them about 70% vegetables and say it's a carnivore diet. But that's the misleading methodologies we see. And that's not good evidence, and weirdly enough I'm arguing against veganism here, well, not veganism, vegan diet, plant-based diet, whatever it is. But that's how you study the fucking carnivore diet. Yet nobody can do that. Nobody can provide that because the methodologies are often flawed if they do exist. And they're often industry funded. And that's what you see as well with meat industries. They actually do this. They actually do funding for these studies where they compare meat to plant-based in terms of health outcomes and I think mortality rate. And it's often found that they're about the same, but that's because the meat counterpart has a lot more vegetables than meat. And obviously they're going to be healthier because they avoid meat. Meat is a known carcinogen, it's a known cancer risk, is a known perpetrator of heart disease, for lack of a correct term. It's known for these things through other studies, and yet people will again take these really flawed studies and say that's definitive proof of this. It's not. The methodologies have to be clean. They have to work. This is what I mean. And it's the same with something like Islam. You need to understand where they're coming from, what they mean by the law, and how bad it would be. So we actually study the effects, but you can actually do it anyway because there are countries already with Sharia law. And so we know definitively from those that Sharia law is not good. But the way to address it is different. And again, that's also a point that could be studied. And in terms of getting people to deconvert, I think that's really important. We need to focus on that to have an effect, to really understand where people can really resonate or click with things or whatever it is. Just to figure this out. So we don't have these fucking attacks. Yeah, if I see people coming out of a mosque, I'm not going to think, oh, they're a danger to society. But to someone else who's seen the media, they're going to think, okay, I'm going to stay clear of them. They've probably got that fucking religious knife in their pocket, whatever that's called. But there's again a massive misconception. And it's a misconception about what it is, and then, as I've pointed out before, I did like under 5 minutes of research and I found out that the earliest mosque in the UK was like 1890, I think. Built in, was it Manchester? I can't remember. But it was somewhere. But it's absurd. People will again go to absurd conclusions, saying that we're being invaded, saying that Islam is not good for us or whatever. And the reality is you don't even notice. People who are following the religion of Islam probably don't even notice it. I mean, we don't even notice people following it. Because they don't display it. Believe it or not, there are people who don't wear a burqa, they don't wear turbans, they don't wear these very distinguished? No. I don't know what to call it, very unique sort of traits or clothing. They don't wear that. Because there are different types of Islam. Same way there's different types of Christianity. There are people who preach love and respect, and there are those who preach hate and violence. Obviously the hate and violence are obviously the worst crowd because they obviously agree with violence. And they probably would walk over other religions too, whereas the love and respect would accept everything as it comes. That's obviously the fairer religion. So it's no different when we compare it. So you think Islam is a threat? Look at fucking Christianity. There's more dangerous people there, in my opinion, than there is Islam. And that's really saying something. I hate to throw Christians under the bus for this, but that is a fact. The reality is there are more dangerous Christians. So I don't want to fucking hear about what Islamic people are doing or not doing. When you need to look inwards, and you need to obviously figure yourself out first. So again, it's ridiculous. I don't know what else to add here, what else to say. So I'll move on. So I did what seemed like a good idea, but it didn't work. So advice online was lying, and I'll double check this again, how do I stop a towel smelling bad? It's really fucking weird, because I use this bath towel a lot, and I've been using it for years, and it was fine last year, from my recollection. Actually even smelled good. But for some reason it started to smell really bad. Not a mildewy or mouldy smell, but worse. More like wet dog smell. So I don't know what the fuck is going on with that. And I'm looking at here preventative things now, because I tried white vinegar. And the white vinegar is supposed to wash it properly and keep it soft, which I'm thinking, okay, sure, that's what I'd hope from it. But it turns out not to work like that. It turns out to be a bit shit. So I'm in this difficult situation here, where that in fact did not work at all. And I went out this morning during a heat wave to get my towel to check it, see it dried, and it dried, but it still smelled. Even though when it came out of the washing it didn't smell anything like white vinegar, because that's what they sent me, not distilled or whatever the fuck the thing is now. I was just confused by all the different names that they have. Nothing makes sense with it. And given this one of my first times addressing this sort of issue, I want this problem to be solved legitimately, and it's not getting solved now because for some stupid fucking reason someone thought it'd be a good idea to lie on the internet and tell you that this solves the problem when it actually fucking doesn't. Just doesn't. It's just fucking baffling. I cannot comprehend who in their right mind even suggested this. I'm still trying to figure out what the fuck I could even do. Because this is really baffling. Crazy amounts of just unhinged, I think. As I said, I tried to wash these towels with my vinegar. I put it on a normal cycle, cotton, 40 degrees, 1,400 spins. Just the average. And even though it smelled like vinegar throughout the whole house, it did nothing. I put the vinegar 1 cup apparently, because that's what I suggested online. into a fabric conditioner and it did nothing. I'm not even sure if it went in, to be honest, because the way these washing machines work is fucking baffling. For some reason, when it gets overfilled, it drains out, but it like drains out from somewhere else. I don't know how it works. It's confusing, and apparently that drains out the excess. Well, it's supposed to, but it drowns it all out instead. So obviously, when I put the one cup in, it started to disappear, and I'm just like, okay, well, you suggested this. It's on you, Martha Stewart, because that's apparently the first article that came up on that for some reason. So one cup, and there it went, and it's not there. So I didn't smell anything like that. Again, just baffling and confusing. I just cannot fathom the idea that this somehow was going to work anyway. I sort of knew it wouldn't, because as it currently stands, the way you get out fucking smells like that isn't through what you think it is. It's through another method, and that's fabric conditioner. So people saying don't use fabric conditioner are fucking lying. It's like AI shit. It's like the vinegar industry is trying to probably get you to buy more vinegar, even though plenty of people use it anyway, and plenty of companies do. And they're not in trouble. What a fucking joke. So I have no idea what's going on there. It may sound conspiratorial, but at this point, I think the conspiracy is true. It's like that industry is just corrupt, it seems. It's disappointing. In my opinion, it doesn't even smell that great. This vinegar. So I just find this baffling and worrying as well, because it means that the smell will remain, and I'm gonna have to bear the brunt of it essentially. I'm gonna have to remain with that fucking horrible wet dog smell. As far as I know, I'm not a dog, so I don't even know why it's smelling like that. Even then, I don't even put a lot of stuff into it. There's not supposed to be any sort of oils or anything. So again, like, what is it? I'm literally gonna have to ask for like outside help for this, because I just do not fucking know. So I just read it again on site, as if I've already tried that before. I'm pretty sure I have actually. It just doesn't make any sense to me. I cannot understand the logic here. And where the fuck this even comes from, how it's even gotten this bad. So yeah, but that's a massive disappointment. It's just really big killer for my mood as well, because I try these things and it doesn't work. What else am I supposed to feel here exactly? So I certainly don't feel like I've achieved anything here. I've not been like, oh yeah, that worked great, I'm gonna do it again. I don't need to, but no, nothing like that. Nothing happened, nothing changed. Again, when I tried. So what's the fucking point? That's just gonna have to smell, I think. I don't know any other solution here. Because the internet ain't suggesting anything. The preventative measures aren't suggesting anything either. I'm just at a standstill with this crap. Again, and it just feels like really unfair as well, because I have sensory issues. And the fact people can spread this sort of misinformation and not even get punished for it is just fucking insane. I just cannot understand it. I almost think like it's a joke, maybe. Maybe using vinegar for washing stuff is probably something like that. The next thing they're going to say is you want salt with that. I just don't understand it. It just makes no sense. Just cannot fathom this fucking shit. I don't know what compels someone to do it. Yeah, that's the other thing. Obviously, I've looked it up, and You know, the preventative measures. Don't overdo fabric conditioner, don't overdo detergent. Well, what the fuck are you supposed to do then? You say that, but you don't provide a solution. It's sort of like contradictory information about health stuff. It's very similar. But you're saying these things and you're not providing a solution. And then you're saying a solution sometimes and you don't even, like, stay consistent with it. Because you suggest things are dangerous. It's so fucking hard to get by, it seems, with this crap. I cannot understand it. Like, what do I even say? It's just lost for words at this point. I can't be getting stressed in the fucking heat wave, even let alone because of the fucking smells. It's absolutely ridiculous. I just cannot understand the logic here. So I'm just gonna have to part with the smells, I suppose. Because there's no other way I can address this. There's no advice out there. Nothing. Even then, it's sort of becoming a mental health problem for me as well. Becoming a real point of stress. And that does need to be addressed because I'm going to struggle with that. I'm going to start having issues. Because of all this fucking misinformation. It's just ridiculous. Anyway, I better move on. I have a heart attack. I just finished Reze arc, Chainsaw Man. And I gotta say it's okay. Not my highest of praises for a show like this. Yeah, I find it bizarre, in all honesty. Like, it's just very strange, in my opinion. And I think it has issues, but it has good points too. So I think that, well, where do I even start? I'll just start going through it rather. I think that's the only point where I can go. So, go through it one by one. Good animation, as you might expect. It's got some 2D, 3D, and 3D, 2D and stuff. At least from what I noticed, anyway. And it's just reasonably animated. It does have that sort of weird effect every now and then where they go full plain palette mode, which I don't mind because it gets the point across, depicts it well, but obviously I do notice it. So it does sometimes feel like it's just very sort of lazily done in a way, but not entirely. I'm not 100% sure, but yeah, it's really just give or take, I suppose. Can be good, can be bad, apparently. Was that it 2 days ago? Thinking My Hero Discovery after Dragon Maid. Dragon Wants to Be Loved. I suppose I could watch that. Unless it's a recap. Let me actually look that up. Anyway. So I also think the voice acting is good. I think it's only decent. I can't really say it's bad. It is just decent in my opinion. It has those points to it where it's good and points to it it's not good. Just some over the top voice acting, just good. It's just it really. I won't say there's anything terrible. I think it's just average for it, to be honest. So yeah, what else is there? Let's try and think. Don't really know anything else about voice acting. The next thing I'd have to point out is the story, which is very wacky. I've not really known anything like it before. I do find it a bit bizarre, in all honesty. Because it can be just one of those things, it's like, yeah, it's good in areas for sure, it has some unexpected moments, but it's also bad in areas, and it's kind of a downer. I did say at the end though, there is a loose thread with the Bomb Devil and Bean. I think his name's Bean, the Shark Devil. It's a bit of a weird loose thread that was just left out in the open. Like, okay, great. Maybe it's too revealing for the story, but who knows? was kind of interested in what that was, and it never got mentioned. Now, we do find something interesting out about Denji's form, which is great. I'm not really going to spoil anything else other than that. Yeah, but listen to the action. The action is decent. I certainly didn't expect some of the moments and how dark it'd be as well. It's pretty fucking crazy how dark it got in areas, at least near the beginning. I certainly wouldn't have expected that. So what am I doing? I'm trying to open that. Yeah, this Kobayashi's Dragon Maid's document I had. Yeah, it's just average for action, really. Some bits over the top, some bits not. And there was an unexpected sort of climax, which I have to admit I didn't see coming. I'm not sure how accurate it is. So yeah, it's definitely a decent thing, in my opinion. I have to make a new Miss Kobayashi's, okay. What's next? That's alright. Let's see. Oh yeah, there is a weird scene, I forgot about that before the action stuff. Yeah, the weird scene is, for some reason, Angel. Like, I don't know what the fuck happened there. I need to look at that. Chainsaw Man, Angel, Devil scene. It's probably going to come up in the images, ain't it? Yep, there it is. Lingerie soon. What the fuck? I didn't expect that, but what? What is going on? Why is he in lingerie? She, whoever. It's really it's so fucking bizarre. Oh, straight up hentai and images, great. Yeah, what the fuck? It was a great reveal, but I didn't expect that. That's surprising, I'm curious. Apparently gender is male. Yeah, it's a very bizarre thing though. I can't believe that. That's alright. Who else is there? That's about it, I think. Pretty much discussed everything. There isn't really anything new here, although I was disappointed that this arc really felt like a way to just, like, I don't know what to call it, span it out. I can't remember the fucking term. It's very weird to me. I'm not sure about that, in my opinion. So it felt a bit unnecessary. It's something you can probably miss. Like, it's not necessary to watch it for the lore, but I don't know. Certainly a thing. But yeah, like, what else do I say about this? Any characters? I forgot to explain that. There's only 2 new characters, from what I can tell. Bean, who's not necessarily new, but we get to see more of him. And then there's Reze, who's obviously part of the 3 new characters, actually. Another one that I won't spoil, but is we found some interesting things about them, for sure. But unexpected ending to different ways. Yeah, I think it's decent. It's not the most highest praise I can give. So I'll write that down, not the highest of praise. But I can recommend if you liked Chainsaw Man. Yeah, it's quite fan service as well towards Denji, which is weird. I find that bizarre. So yeah, that's about it. That's my review. So just barely a recommendation, really. So that's correct. Such reactions, there we go. So I'll document everything. So let's move on. I think today has to be one of the most stressful days I've had in my life. And it almost fucking broke me badly. So I feel like I've been done wrong just constantly by the people in my life who tell me there's nothing wrong, just tell me everything's fine. Because it clearly isn't. Especially what I've seen today, what's this fan working? Yeah. And it's just, it really pushed itself over the edge today, in my opinion. I'll explain bits from it, obviously. I'm just so defeated by this shit. So tired of this shit. Oh, I'm literally thinking of just cutting off these people from my life. Just leaving every group chat, everything that's involved with them. Just ridiculous. I legit cannot comprehend why they would do things like this. And just the entire thing around this. It is absolutely fucking ridiculous. Where do I start? I guess beginning, the day was going fine until this point. I saw some flags out for some reason. I think it's actually, rather than the what do you call it, the anti-migrant stuff, it might be to do with the World Cup, but I can't be too sure. So I'm a bit concerned about that. That didn't help things, seeing that. Also given they use the same method, zip ties and whatever, God knows what. You know, it didn't ring good bells for me, at all good vibes or anything. So that didn't help. And then what happened, during this really, when I actually arrived at the location, met with people and stuff, that's really what got me. And it got me fucking good. Well, in this case, not bad, I don't know what to call it. So I don't know what the fuck is all this fan, it keeps just doing the wrong way outside. I'm trying to adjust it to make it focus on me, but then it just doesn't blow or anything. It's just a fan, that's what it's supposed to do. Yeah, today obviously sat down and stuff, had some conversation, and then almost immediately we devolved into what happened like a few days ago, I think it was. It was like an anti-fascist protest, and for some reason someone saying they're not anti-fascist anymore, which are middle-class cunts, which is ironic, to be honest. Because that is coming from someone who's actually middle class, so I don't understand that. It's a bit fucking weird, strange behaviour really. I feel like this person's always been a bit sort of, I don't know, not many screws in, I guess. I hate to describe it that way, but it does feel that way. Yeah. So the topic that came up, so obviously that pissed me off and stuff, and it's like people were saying like it's obviously they say it's a bad thing that there's anti-fascist protests, and there's me just sitting there being quiet as I usually am, just thinking like you really don't know the truth of it, and if I were able to speak I would, and I just can't in a social situation. Just clearly mute. I don't know how to address that really. And I think the thing that came after, which was about for some reason pride, that came up, and these people, bear in mind, do not know that I'm pansexual. So I kind of don't. It doesn't surprise me that I say would not know. It's really one of those things, but at the same time, I'm just equally disappointed because this is the kind of shit that annoys me so much and puts me at a disadvantage. But what they said was, why is there even a pride to begin with? Which I've heard a lot of times already, and I already know the answer to. We have pride because we have to fight for our rights and we have to survive with our rights. It's not so much about being proud about something, it's showing that we exist and we are here regardless of what you do. And the turnout is bigger every fucking year, so why do we have pride? You should be able to figure that out on your own. For me, it wasn't hard. I didn't even have to do research. It's just fucking ridiculous. And again, personally, it's for me about survival and about showing the world that it's normal. It's something that we can have, and people who are legitimately LGBTQ+, because you don't choose that, by the way, people who know they are, can actually come out as LGBTQ+ without being shamed for it. And that's a really big deal. That's why people do it. That's why people are celebrating it. That's why we even discuss it. Because people have to survive, and they will always exist. It's just not fucking surprising. It's always going to be a thing. So, I guess that leads into the other thing with this, which is, what is it about? I'm trying to think. I think that was it about Pride. Also, people saying, like, why don't we celebrate straight Pride? Because you haven't had to fight for your rights. You haven't had to be shamed for it. In fact, as far as I know, like straight shaming is like at the fucking minimum. That really doesn't bother people enough to warrant that. Not anyone. That's why there isn't a straight Pride. It's just fucking ridiculous. Well, that's even a question. Other times as well, it comes across as tone deaf, because when it comes across, it's often in response to gay pride, or whatever it is. Because people seem so insecure about who they are, being straight for some reason, and seeing that other people are happier than them, that they feel the need to respond that way. Oh yes, I've seen through it. I've seen through all your fucking masks. I've been alive long enough to see that and understand people, what goes on in their heads. I mean, I can't know everything, but I do know that. That is a fact. People are jealous, people are closeted, and they hate people for being open about it. Absolutely fucking ridiculous. And then the next thing that was brought up, which was not so bad, but still bad, something about like a conversation about anti-migration. Because as I said, it wasn't so bad. It's like, we kind of admit that it's just kind of one of those things. It's like, it's shit. But for some reason, someone likes it. Someone likes the anti-migration crowd and thinks they can get along with them. Even though these are the fuckers that'll put you out of a job, the anti-migration crowd that is, and who will strip your rights away, who don't think you're entitled to anything, and will privatise the NHS. Good job. You fuck the country over a very trivial issue, because it is trivial. Do the research, and that's that. Like a big fucking moron, you'll see what's coming to you, essentially, with reform and restore. If you truly believe that, if you think they are 100% right, see for yourself then. See what they do. Because it's just fucking ridiculous. But anyway, I've already sussed all that out. To begin with, then what's the next thing? We sort of went on a bit, conversations and stuff, and I was already shot down by this point. Just not feeling it, feeling disappointed and just sad, because I just wanted to be out of there. I fed up with these conversations, and this was the last straw for me. I'm just too overwhelmed by shit. And on top of that, also talking about the thing with my teeth needing to be removed, which was really uncomfortable because I don't like talking about it. It's just really bad. I don't know, it's bizarre. But then a later conversation came up which also rung alarm bells for me because of how stupid it is. It was apparently about a gay couple that sexually abused an underage child. Obviously, it was a baby actually, not an underage child, just a baby. So the child is already underage, what am I fucking saying? But apparently this was a news story, I hadn't even heard of it, and to be honest, I don't really care. Unless there's justice for the baby, I don't give a shit. But for me, it's not even about the fact that they're gay, it's just the fact that they abuse a child. Obviously, couldn't give a shit what else they do. In their time, it's not relevant doesn't matter to me. Doesn't impact my life the same way that a trans person would impact your life, because people seem to be gung-ho about panicking about them, even though they're not doing anything. By the way, I'm only trans non-binary. I'm not biased, but the point is, these situations, there's often a very big irrelevancy. They say a migrant does a crime, they say an autistic person does a crime, they say a woman does a crime like this, and they get absolutely fucking shot on in the media. But who doesn't? White British men. Because they're the only people who matter to the media. And that's really what pissed me off about this, top of just giving me a fucking PTSD attack. Where I really felt uncomfortable because it reminded me of things I witnessed in childhood. Just, I don't want to fucking hear it. And also there's that talk about that train crash that happened in the UK. Again, I just don't want to hear this bad fucking news. It's like every single fucking time. They just seem to want to find any excuse to bring up this bad news. For whatever reason. Like, yes, we all know it's bad. Jesus fucking Christ, I want to hear good news. I'm just tired of hearing it when it's singling out a specific minority. For some reason you don't give a shit when it's like autistic people when they're in the media. But only when it's like a gay couple or a couple of pufters, as they say. Just, why? I'm just so fucking tired of this. It's just nauseating after a while. I really can't understand this shit. But for me, it's, I think that really broke the camel's back, I suppose, and just was the last straw. I'm tired of this shit. I've got supposedly a few years to live at least. I'm just so stressed out and nauseated by everything, and all this as well leading to burnout and social autistic burnout and stuff, and also the people I trusted initially just simply don't seem to give a shit. It's like, oh, Paul, you'll get better in a few days. No, I fucking won't. Autistic burnout doesn't work like that. I have my good and bad days, but something triggers my bad day, and then I just start to feel bad for weeks now. That doesn't fucking help. Puts me at a severe disadvantage again. At this point, I might as well fucking come out as a trans woman. Say that I'm black. I'll not even use the fucking slurs associated with it, like I'm a nigger as well. Like, I'm fucking tired of this. Just freaking the fuck out. I can't understand people anymore. I don't even view myself as intelligent, but Jesus Christ. The fact that I know more than the people who've grown up around this shit is really saying something. It's fucking ridiculous. I'm just so tired of this. I don't even know what to do or what to say. The only way I can talk again, like properly, is if one, I get asked a question, or two, I have a text discussion, because the only way I can get any sort of words out of my mouth is when I'm in that comfortable position to do it. Like if you ask me a question, like, yeah, what's your view on this? I can explain it, sure. I might be a bit nervous, but definitely explain it. The same with just text chatting. Thing I'm used to, and also it's pretty ridiculous as well knowing that how tech savvy I am, how online I am as well, that these people do know about me. They don't even ask my opinion on this shit. It's just like, oh, I'm right about everything. Like, I used to be fucking transphobic. I used to be anti-migrant. I used to be homophobic. What are you even fucking saying? I've been in these positions where I am compromised, and that's the truth there. Compromised in the way that I've been told something, that's a lie, and I believed it, and I didn't have critical thinking. I didn't think about these things, I didn't question it. And now it's like, for some reason, now that I'm someone who looks for the truth of things, looks for the facts, I'm like the big fucking enemy. That's what it feels like. I don't know, like big bad boss, I don't know if that's the fucking term. Again, I'm just so fucking tired of this. It's extremely concerning. Why is this shit even here to begin with? I cannot wrap my head around this. And as I've said before, like, the antidote to a lot of these phobias, a lot of these concerns that people have, is research. It always fucking is. It's the same way that people assume that trans women dress up only to go into a women's bathroom and rape someone. And we can't even find any evidence of that. And apparently there's studies out there saying that there is no actual case where trans people are harmed to anyone else. Like, literally none. Because people don't even know there are trans people out there. They don't even know that they've walked past a trans person. They've stood next to a trans person. Never. And that's because people don't even fucking know what a trans person is. Again, all these sort of assumptions. Same thing with like gay people. There's a correlation where if a gay person supposedly sexually abuses a child, apparently that still means that they're gay and that they're a danger to everyone else. But it's not even a thing. You can't correlate it to, because there isn't even any proof of that. Every study, as far as I know, that's been done on this, cannot find a correlation. Meanwhile, when you actually look at it, the study shows that anyone could be a fucking beautiful. It's not just straight people. Straight people being the biggest and most common ones at fault here for that, for committing child abuse. It's also disabled people. It's also, again, autistic people, to put that into perspective. And again, also black people, also women. So literally anyone can be. It's simply ridiculous that there is this notion that anyone could, rather only these minorities can be paedophiles or child abusers. It's fucking ridiculous, and you get corrupt people everywhere. And there are definitely bad people in these spaces for sure, and they need justice served, obviously. But we can't ignore the fact that the worst offender of these comes from white people, comes from obviously straight people, comes from able-bodied people. That's it. That's what the research shows. That's what all the studies show, that's what all the numbers show. It always comes back to white people, and specifically white males. So I'm fucking tired. And I'm fed up with this. I've got food in front of me, but I don't feel that hungry. Just at the same time, just at that time earlier, I just felt like I just slitting my wrists, just end it once and for all. I'm so fucking tired. It's just everything around me is like crumbling. Nobody cares about anyone's safety anymore. It's all about bloodshed, it's all about paying people down when they're already down enough. I just don't fucking get it. And the media is the ones responsible. Yeah, if I could, I'd sue every single fucking media, every platform in the world for this shit. X, Facebook, whoever it is, like Meta, as a whole, TikTok, even something like, what's the other one, like news stations, that's what I mean, news sources. So, you know, BBC, GB News, probably Fox News, even like, I think the Telegraph as well. Sun, well, I think it's the Mirror actually, not the Sun. I think the Sun has done shit before. You know, all these places that report on news that specifically highlights only minorities, they need to go. They're a fucking cancer on the world. They need to be shot down. And that's that. No questions asked. We've got the proof. And that's that. I'm just fucking tired of this. It's fucking ridiculous. And then something will probably happen when I get taken out of context. Like, fucking, I'm someone with learning difficulties and severe mental illness. What do you expect? Of course they're gonna fucking pick on me. And that only proves it. And you've fallen into my trap if you've already done this. Fucking idiots. So yeah, I'm just tired. I don't know what else to say. Just big disappointment all around. I feel like there's no redemption here. I feel lost. I feel like nothing's going to change. Either just going to go through the same shit again and again until World War III, and then just start getting attacked and drone strikes and shit. Displaced, attack houses. Idiots won't suspect I live in a fucking forest or something. I don't know. I'm just done with this. Not sure how much I can take. I'm not sure how to do this now, but I think I have to. I'm tired, it's warm, fed up, but two big, not big stories actually. One of them's quite old, but I haven't heard of it today, but the other is new, big, obviously. Start with the first one. So apparently Asmongold made a tweet about putting the bottom 5 to 10% of school children into a coal mine. What? I'm gonna have to look this up, I think. Asmongold, bottom 5 to 10% children. Tweet, I wonder if that'll come up. News article, there it is. Society would instantly and dramatically improve. This is April 2025. Improve if we took the bottom 5 to 10% of the most retarded kids out of school and put them in the coal mines instead. All of Western cultural problems are derived from adherence to the false code of equality. A few things to unpack there. Firstly, mentally retarded kids wouldn't be able to. So, if we talk about people with really low IQ, and that includes people with intellectual disabilities and ones that are caused physically as well, from the intellectual disability, mind you, then there's going to be problems, because they're not going to be able to work. So, seagull. So you just created a scenario where now these children just won't ever be able to fucking see the light of day. They can't work, they can't go to school, then like what are you supposed to do then? It genuinely makes no sense. But the dumber thing is these aren't even the people who are doing the equality. I guarantee you most children with intellectual disabilities do not even know that there is equality. And it's not me trying to say that they're extremely stupid. Some of them are actually kind of smart. But the point is, you're equating these things. And so, it doesn't really add up. When you equate these things, when you look into the evidence, and see the average intelligence of someone who aligns with these groups, more commonly, you'll see the bottom 5 to 10% mentioned here. You grow up to be Republican, are these exact people. So ironically, you're also sort of arguing in favour of the left and also socialist arguments, which is just fucking insane. Like, this is what happens when you don't think. It's literally one of the dumbest arguments I've ever heard. Because you do not look at these things objectively, instead subjectively. And then there's that problem with the second point here. All Western cultural problems are derived from the adherence to a false god of equality. There is no god of equality. Nowhere. You're implying deism when there is none. If anything, equality has some part to do with religion, but it's not about religion. It's a difference. You see that with people who are Muslim, people who are Christian. There's a wide variety of people who are part of DEI as a result of religion. But there is no God. In this case, anyway. So that's to say there is for some people, but not a majority. And even then, science, as it currently stands, is the best antidote towards something like believing in a God, believing in religion. Critical thinking is the best antidote for that. And even then, critical thinking is also simultaneously one of the ways that you can address like DEI. But it means for good and bad ways. So that's an issue. But obviously critical thinking is king. It's not a god of equality. It's like essentially a belief in critical thinking and intelligence. So the opposite of what's being said here, basically. As for cultural problems, there isn't. All these problems are often made up or pulled out your ass. This, however, isn't evidence. It's a bit like me saying, I believe in unicorns because I saw one recently. I saw it in real life. And the reality is, there aren't any fucking unicorns. And I can't even prove it. So then I've created a divide here, where people now believe in, obviously, God on like they're off, and others won't believe in unicorns. Like, do you even think about these problems? Like, cultural problems come from these forged ideas. Some people use religion to justify the cultural problems that exist. As in, the reason it exists to begin with is from, again, these cultural things existing, which is just not true. You can't actually see that. So how fucking ridiculous is that? But then, again, adherence to the equality, like, let's remove the God from it. Adherence to equality. That implies people are prescribing to equality just because they can. Just because they can be part of a group. Which is also ironically the argument I heard yesterday. When they were talking about anti-pride, it's like people try to find part of a group to be part of. Just find a group to be part of. And the problem is, that's not what's happening. I'm part of a group, even though I don't want to be. I don't really like the idea of being part of a group. Because I've been born that way. I've been developing that way. Are you going to say that, like, autistic people are just trying to be part of a group? Because this is what you were saying. It's like saying people in wheelchairs are trying to be part of a group. You're literally reaching for the most dumbass conclusions just by this narrative, by what people are saying about it, to supposedly make a point, but you haven't made a good point at all. It's fucking ridiculous. Just cannot understand this shit. But you know, it is very much something you can refute if you know what to look out for. Critical thinking, evidence, science, all sorts of different things which can contribute to how we understand equality. And even then, equality, as per a like an issue, as in like how do I explain it? Like, equality is very much a thing where you include people because as equals, which there is inherently no problem with. I think the more that people do that, the better we become. And that's again showing signs and evidence as far as I'm aware. Because if you outcast everyone who is not like you, who's not white, male, able-bodied, straight, cisgender, whatever, or even just a male, male, then there's going to be nobody left. You make a very boring society, you make one that's born out of violence and essentially not vandalism, banditry, I don't know, piracy maybe. But you create a lawless society, as it was back then, before equality even existed. Do you think about the progress we made, where we're no longer at each other's throats with fucking weapons, spears into communities who just want to be left alone? Then, you know, why would you want to go back to that? Exactly. Like, it might sound stupid, but I'm not meaning it in the way you think I'm meaning it. But what's wrong with today? What's wrong with now? Because if there's anything wrong with now, also we know what's wrong. It's corruption. It's bigotry. And it's people being essentially radicalised by the far right on the internet. And billionaires also dividing us. This is a fucking problem. And this doesn't even get a mention. How? Genuinely, I can't understand it. It reminds me of this problem with what we saw recently with, what's his face, God of War, Morphe. And everyone being like, hyper like, quote unquote masculine, and saying that a game is not the same because it's involving a woman. What? Like, what's the problem? You play as women all the time in games, you see women all the time in games, you see women in every single fucking form of media. What's your point here, exactly? Because it's not about masculinity, I can tell you that. I'm no expert on it. And people who claim they are obviously are not. I can tell you now, it's a subjective thing. There is no one true masculinity. And in sad ways, it means that sometimes the men who bully others are in themselves thinking they're masculine and shit. So I don't know. I don't know what to add here exactly. I find it so fucking ridiculous. But yeah, with that Lefties situation, it really didn't need to happen, because there was nothing wrong. Nothing to begin with. And I still can't understand that. It still genuinely makes no sense to me. How they even came about. Because it's quite blatantly obvious that games with a female protagonist were never an issue. Never. So, just so fucking bad. I really don't understand it. So, yeah, I ain't really got much else to say. But, you know, given some of the other tweets I've seen Asmongold put out there, it's all so fucked up. Like, I remember I used to watch him about 8 or 9 years ago. Actually, no, it's probably like 7. So 7 or 8. And it was just fucking atrocious. All the streaming and stuff, the opinions on the games, the entire narrative around certain topics like reacting to drama and shit. It's just ridiculous. Like, it's a fucking joke. And this guy was on Twitch as well. He also had shown bad habits. Like, I won't hold it against him. Living with your mum's fine. I think I sort of respected as well. I did respect it rather. But everything else that's just come around it is like so fucked up. Actually insane. There's just an insane amount of bullshit out there and problems, and it gets out of control. Really don't understand it. It's just so fucking bad. Yeah, it's in typical fashion rather, it seems like bigotry seems to stem from other types of bigotry. In fact, I remember Asmongold used to follow, what's his name? Destiny. I'm not sure what happened to Destiny exactly. I know he's been in a drama recently accusing H3H3 of a unwarranted accusation of paedophilia. Because there's no proof. But H3H3 is fucked up apparently because he's suing based on a law and essentially extorting. But there's so much bullshit going around like that. And you wonder what happens to these people to make them fall off the bandwagon. Even just fall off in general. it really shows that there aren't really many intellectuals left in this space, and it really shows. With enough, I wouldn't have become someone who researched things if it weren't for having my beliefs challenged, and also thinking about what's right and wrong in life, and thinking really long and hard about it to actually make a point, to actually understand. Anyway, I ain't got much else to say, so I'll move on. So another thing, Keir Starmer has resigned, but we have to wait a few months. Not to any shock or anything. I wasn't surprised that this happened, in all honesty. Saw it coming, just didn't know when. That's the main thing. I really felt like it should have happened last year. But it feels like as well that this can backfire in a way. I get the feeling about this that we could also see no change. And that's like a pretty strong feeling, in all honesty. It feels like it could very well happen. Very well cause issues and disruption. So it is a bit of a downer, really. It's a bit of shit. I can't understand. It just had an interesting idea. Why did I put solar panels outside the window? God, that's fucking genius. That idea unlocked. I have to write that down, actually. Solar panels, window, thingy, shade, don't know. Anyway, I think that it's a very weird thing, anyway, that this resignation happened almost exactly after the Belfast riots. And it shows that really he never admitted to anything here. He said it was bad, but he didn't really do anything. He didn't do anything about them, didn't look into getting the relevant people arrested. There's nothing. So we still have that problem, as far as I'm aware. There's still going to be problems. Like, what do we even do? I'm genuinely wondering. Because getting him out is just one part of the puzzle. But doing something where you make the UK better, as in, like, you make it better for people who live here, obviously, cost of living, lowering the bills, lowering the prices of things, and you also address like the migration problem from both perspectives, rather than just one. Just the problem, and I think that's why the government often fails. You do not address them rationally, instead through shock value and utter fucking bullshit. That's why it never fucking changes. That's why you never see anything change. So it's a whole fucking disaster. I don't really know what to add exactly. But I will say that there is a possibility that the next person we get can potentially be worse or better. I'd hope better, because that's what you naturally want. But I don't think I see that happening for some reason. It does really feel like a case where somehow people... Well, how do I even word this? What do I even say? I'm getting distracted again. It genuinely feels like no matter what happens, again, it's only two ways. I don't think we'll ever like get the same sort of person. Again, like the same person that his name was Keir Starmer. At the same time, it reminds me of the hierarchy of who's worse, who's better and who's worse than this. And I think it goes without saying, but I'd prefer, obviously, Keir Starmer. over Conservatives, over Reform, over Restore. I prefer Labour over any of them. That's simply because they're more likely to do the right thing. But again, that's like a very narrow sort of, what do you call it, a narrow, I guess, amount of people, a very short amount of people, or something like that. I don't know, it's too warm to think at the moment. But again, I can only hope with this that things change, but also I haven't seen that going to defeat the Russians attacking the yachts. It makes me worried too. Like, what if he's just jumped ship to just escape the UK? Like, what if? It's very confusing. It's just fucking horrific. I genuinely can't understand this shit. So, yeah, even though there's a slight bit of good news, it's also got some bad news associated with it. And it really depends on how it gets addressed by the next government, obviously the next Prime Minister. But it's also embarrassing for a political leadership because you never known the UK to have so many failures in one go. Genuinely makes no sense. I'm just looking here, like Prime Ministers who've basically resigned, I think, but it's more of a satellite thing out during Wimbledon. Also Wimbledon, Oz, David Cameron 2016, Theresa May 2019, Boris Johnson July 2022, Liz Truss October 2022, Rishi Sunak July 2024, and Keir Starmer June 22nd 2026. So yeah, it shows a trend really. We just can't stop having Prime Ministers in the last 10 years for some reason. I cannot understand it. But leadership isn't even a hard thing to do. Exactly. The thing is, you need to be transparent about these things. You need to tell people what's wrong, why everything's going to shit. You need to say it how it actually is. Because nothing's going to change then. Because the only way you're going to make a change is if you're transparent and you make people not just aware but also make changes to accommodate them. It's fucking nuts. I cannot understand that shit. It's just so bizarre to me. And how you can think that your leadership was good, that's the thing that baffled me in that announcement. He constantly brought up his wife and saying how his leadership was good and saw better wages. No, it fucking didn't. From what I can tell, it did nothing. It didn't do better wages, it made them worse. So, yeah, it's a fucking disaster. I just cannot understand the point here. Like, we really need change to happen to make things a lot better. I just cannot understand it. So yeah. Anyway, move on. Must be going through a heat wave. You want to know one of the things that we'll probably never forget about the Russia-Ukraine war? I think we'll probably never forget the fact that Russia was obviously in the wrong and also very likely to lose, and still is losing, which is insane. So, yeah, I just wanted to talk about this a bit. I just saw some footage from the Sun about some of the things that have happened in the war, basically, and there's one thing that really occurred to me in watching that, in the fact that me and what was not widespread. It's the fact that obviously these drones kill people, and it's usually Ukraine killing Russians. But when you look at the Russians, they're almost never fucking away, never fighting. Then what? It's just insanity. How is this even allowed? But judging by the looks of it, there's something wrong with the Russians there. Because it's not just a lack of awareness, it's sometimes just straight up just knowing that it's going to happen anyway. Some of the clips as well, as horrifying as they are, literally, someone's last moments, they try to tackle going around a tree to escape the drone, and at some point they just say, fuck it, they just stand still, let it happen. Like, it's so fucking weird, there is something really wrong there. So I don't know exactly what that can mean. But obviously, I think people are drafted into the war knowing that, it's essentially a suicide sentence and they don't want to fucking go. Obviously, I'd hope that Ukraine sort of do the right thing there to make sure that the people who are surrendering are actually being rescued in a way. I don't know how possible it is, but so at the same time, I think people need to be aware, and also with this being so public too, they need to be aware that any Russian going into the war, I think, has a chance to just die, like a really high chance. It's very much obvious though. If you look at the clips, if Russians see that, I think it's going to send a very strong message about what exactly it entails and how bad it's going to end for you. But it's also just a really horrific situation, obviously. Because I've no doubt that certain people don't want to even be in the war to begin with. Pretty much goes without saying. But obviously, the difficult part is trying to ensure that people are safe in that way. But you also can't take risks as well, because Russia will probably start doing things where they certain people with bombs. They'll start making them suicide targets. So if the said Russian actually gets too close to Ukraine, it's like a prisoner of war, or surrendering isn't to be a prisoner of war, then obviously that's a big risk in its own way. And it could obviously be like a remote destination or something, but it's all sorts of fucked anyway. It's all damned if you do and damned if you don't, but this is the problem with being in a country that doesn't treat you like a human being. It treats you like livestock, essentially. People often think that because of the size of the map of Russia, they think that it's massive. They think there's tons of people there. But as far as I'm aware, the population is actually that big. Let me look at that Russian population. Because as far as I know, they've had over 1.2 million casualties, I think. And the population, as of January 2025, 146 million. And there's 147 before that, so yeah, tons of people fucking died. And obviously, as it should bounce out, it should have been, what am I thinking? Sorry, is my brain not working? It seems like there should have been an increase given the current situation in the world. But no, seems very unlikely. Yeah, I'm trying to look at different maps here. Populations in 2015 are growing in farther regions, which is interesting. Lowering in the coastal ones, which is also quite interesting. But yeah, it's all sorts of fucked anyway, this war. The thing is, it's also going to be the fact that Putin will go down in history as among one of the worst war criminals in the world, and also just I think a warmonger. I'm not sure if that's the correct term though. But he started this war, and he pushed people to the brink in this, pushed Ukraine to the brink essentially at first, and then obviously has come back, and it's a fucking disaster. So it's obviously backfired, and yet idiots still can't give up, which is frankly extremely bizarre. And what is going on? It just doesn't make sense either. Again, it's a sort of too dark for it to really. Again, I think war is still a horrible thing, regardless of what side it's on. Even then, I still had the perception back then when, well, before this even started, that no matter what side you're on, killing is still bad. It's still a terrible thing. I think regardless of the moral weight on it, which is important too, it's still going to be horrific. I think by far one of the worst things that could happen as a result is obviously, as we're seeing today, Israel's essentially being a test dummy for a lot of the technology that we have that's obviously improving fighting these wars, but it's also being the most destructive. And as far as I know, like civilian casualties from Ukraine are quite minimal. It's only ever the people associated with oil or the military that they ever target. But the thing is, I think at a certain point, it's just going to get uglier and uglier as it goes along. So there may even be a case where they have to target civilians in the end. They have to target those who are more vulnerable, unfortunately. And that's one of the horrific things about war that just never makes sense in my mind. You see what Israel's doing to Lebanon and supposedly Iran. Though Israel should ran. That's a terrible joke. Yeah, they should be running actually. I'm not even joking about that. I think Israel's just being one of the biggest cancers on the world at the moment. Just being so horrific in its war crimes, in its strategy, in its hatred of other places, and also the greed. Because the greed comes into it. It ties to corruption, but greed is part of that. And their greed to take more land and sell it off is absolutely fucking terrible. It's one of the worst things you can do, in my opinion. And it just doesn't make sense that could be encouraged. I just don't get it. And it also demonstrates something terribly wrong in Israeli leadership and military when they're targeting civilians. They're saying that babies don't have a right to live because they're born among a family of what? Muslims? Journalists? Like what? It never makes any sense when you look up Israel's excuses. And that's why people often protest it. It's nothing to do with the religion, obviously Judaism, Jewish, whatever you call it. It's absolutely nothing to do with that. It never was. So it's so fucking insane to me. And yet the US are also sort of following suit, and I also sort of dread the idea that the UK might as well. I feel that there's probably tensions in the UK that we're not quite aware of, where we're going to see the UK involved in a war we don't want to get into, either because we associate with the US or because we associate with Israel, or both, or even just Russia, because that's what Nigel Farage and Rupert Lowe want. They just want Russia to take over, essentially. I'm actually not 100% sure about Rupert Lowe, Sirius, but it's quite likely again there's already someone there who's sort of in the gritty, I guess. So it's just so tired of this shit again. Just can't wait for the day that we see that either Russia's forfeited or there's been something else, like Israel has been taken down, or it's been like nuked overnight, because let's be honest, I think at that point it's entirely fucked. They got what's coming to them, I have to say. I don't think anybody's going to shed any tears, and it's sad because there are a population of Israelis who don't agree with the war, who don't agree with any of this shit, and I'm not talking about those people in this. They'll unfortunately be collateral, but in the end I think in terms of human rights, I think Israel probably serves the most danger to us, just because of it drafting us into wars, because of it doing so many horrific war crimes, and just saying completely batshit insane things that nobody can agree with, let alone figure out. That's why they've got that coming to them. It's a reality. I'm not saying this because of my personal bias. It's just what they're going to have happen to them. Because eventually, one country will say that enough is enough. It'll be either Iran or it'll be Turkey. It'll be someone neighbouring them. And they'll say, you know what, you've done enough. We're going to war with you. And I won't blame them. Also, it just wouldn't surprise me as well if they're with like EU and NATO, it might even send NATO in. Like, it'd be fucking insane, but it'd be necessary. And probably the US as well would get, I don't know, antsy about it, I don't know the term. Yeah, this is insane. I don't really know what else to add, to be honest. It's just fucking unbelievable. Again, so let's move on. Well, what a way to end this episode. This Valve Steam machine is out. And it's not looking good. It's just sort of unsurprisingly, but surprisingly, it's just not looking great. And there's got a few different reasons why. The RAM shortage is a big one, but I think there's like a GPU shortage as well, if I heard it correctly. I did see like two types of reviews on this so far. Two review channels, rather. Digital Foundry and Gamers Nexus, and I jumped through it because I ain't got the time at the moment to listen to it all. But I looked at the benchmarks, they look very disappointing, and I compared that to my current system. My current system is faster, which is pretty insane, and it costed 3 times the amount, to be fair, but that was at the time. Now, these days, I think it costs like just under the price of a Steam machine, or just about, rather. So, yeah, it's kind of baffling to think about. Well, what exactly were they going with here? It seems a bit bizarre to me, in a way. This shouldn't have really come out, in my opinion. Because based on what I've heard from everyone so far, it really feels like they've botched it in terms of limiting this. Obviously they're shipping it, that's the thing. But they shouldn't have, and they should have waited to see if the market would return. But given that we can't see a market returning anyway, it leaves a more difficult situation. They could have just sent a bare bones one with a way to support an extra RAM kit or GPU. Have a guide for that, obviously, but I don't know. So it feels like there's confusing circumstances around why exactly this was launched to begin with. It feels a bit bizarre. But at the same time as well, like Gamers Nexus did mention this, they mentioned that there is like a fun aspect to it, messing around with the machine itself. And I could definitely see that. As I said before, I would have considered a Steam machine if I wanted to try Linux. But I'm likely not going to do that because it currently stands. Steam machine, again, is like a far weaker option. So there isn't really much point, in my opinion. So I just won't bother to begin with, regardless of like Linux accessibility and stuff. And it does sound like there's also some bits to polish within Linux itself, so there's also that issue. So yeah, all in all, confusing is probably the word for this launch, and messy, I guess. Just, I don't know what they were thinking. I still can't quite figure that out, to me. Just, why did they even bother? It feels so strange to see a launch like this, one that's quite heavily anticipated, for that matter, and yet it just fails quite spectacularly. Like, it's just so weird. And already people are sort of memeing on it because of the nature of it. As in, it's already sort of underperforming. And compared to a machine you build yourself, it's like, it's barely even worth it. And that's what people are going to flock to in the end, unfortunately. It's going to be about the prices, it's going to be about also maybe the approach to entry. So, in terms of like gaming, for a gaming system, a Steam machine is just not good enough. The RTX performances of ray tracing on is just terrible. That's a bad thing to even start with. And for modern games, it barely even fucking runs. If anything, it's closer to, as Digital Foundry found out, it's more closer to PS5 performance, which is overall good. But as far as I'm aware, like the PS5, I'm pretty sure it offers a bit more in areas than other things do. So I'm not even 100% sure about it. Again, very strange circumstances and ideas being thrown around here. I'm trying to think what else there is to say, because with PC hardware and stuff, it is a niche sort of audience that gets into it. Like myself, I got into it around like 2013 or so, because of channels like Linus Tech Tips. Ironically enough, yes, back all the way back then, when they had the kitchen set up, which was a nice change of pace. I remember back then when it was like GTX 1070, GTX was it? Yeah, I think it was actually GTX 1070. At the time I had a 970, the 1080 I mean, launch, and it'd be like the most like impressive thing, and there'd be like the insane systems that they built. Like I remember it being an Intel Core. What's their naming scheme again? I think it's like a 1000K or something, but I think it's like a 4900K. They had in that. It's also like the top of the line CPU and stuff. And I don't remember RAM that well for some reason. I think it's generally like 16 gigabytes back then. Insane number by today's standards. Yeah, that's like really set me off on PC hardware. I just wanted to see how far I could go. And even though I never really got to that point, to discover that sort of thing where it's like insane performance, I still got to see something at least. I've obviously got this system right here, RTX 3070 5800X CPU, 32 gigabytes of RAM, which apparently isn't enough now. According to my system, it's not enough. So I'm going higher. Yeah, that's the weird thing with the Steam machine. Apparently they launched it with a single RAM stick of 16 gigabytes, which is a very strange choice. Although I see why they did it, but at the same time it's just bizarre, because I think they could have at least had this like weight on the machines and stuff, and reservations perhaps, but warn people that obviously that the prices will increase as the market does as well. So when their reservation obviously gets too high, they have the option to cancel, and I think that's a good thing to do, honestly. It would have been far better to have that rather than this, and especially shipping to like Gamers Nexus and Digital Foundry with one fucking stick of RAM. Like, what the hell are you thinking? It makes no sense. And that also leads into like the issue of you just don't trust people for some reason. Something I don't know what to say here exactly. Because they could have done so much more, and they wasted the potential here. And they also were launching like a title with this one. There's a game with this title, and we didn't even see what it was. So we get to see that. It's like, what the fuck is going on? Everything's so messy at the moment. And even though we're kind of due a new bit of hardware in a year and a half time, I can't remember when it is exactly. The market's so inflated already with just garbage, and again, I don't see it being that sustainable, especially with a Steam machine. All things are given that's going to be like a point of comparison for benchmarks. It's not going to be long before it's even wiped off of that. So it's going to be more complicated. But I don't really have high hopes when it comes to that. When it comes to seeing new and improved hardware. If it could even exist for that matter, because there is discussion about it potentially being unattainable. And that would make sense because I think we've shrunk everything we can. That's why we have gaming phones now. But we can't do any more. Do you know, the other problem we're going to see is AI is going to design the hardware and then it'll be shit. Because AI doesn't actually know how the hardware works, that's why we hire engineers. There's so much fucking absurdity around this. I genuinely cannot understand the faults here when it comes to companies and just pushing AI as well, but that's one thing I can say about the Steam Machine at least. As far as I know, it's not pushing AI. It's one of the best things going for it, and obviously that deserves applause. Honestly, the fact that they can go so long denying AI and stuff is just, it's impressive. There's a big Valve W there. And they should keep that up, obviously, because I think we need AI just gotten rid of. And also can't really wait for the day where Storefront starts to remove it as well. Starts to remove like AI generated garbage on there. To stop it from being sold and stuff. That'd be great. Yeah, again, I think the Steam Machine was probably built on dreams, possibly, is probably the way to talk about that, is it? Obviously, we flew too close to the sun as well, like trying too much and in the end failed. What do I even say here? Yeah, it's quite a sad situation because someone like me, I would have been open to the idea of a machine that runs Linux to do all my work on, to do all the stuff on. But again, they've flopped it. It just felt so underbaked from what I've seen. And we're even yet to see like a breakdown of it, or teardown rather, which I quite look forward to actually, because I'm quite interested in like small form factor PCs. Weird fact about me, I don't actually like tower PCs. They're kind of cringe. I just find them a bit overrated. Like people use it for like showing off and stuff, and you know, like yeah, it may look like a tank, but is it functional? It's my question. And sometimes they're not. You see like on some tests that the airflows of some cases are a bit shit. And even despite the size, despite the amount of fans they have, it just becomes rainbow vomit in the end. That's what I keep coming back to. It's like when there are like cases and machines that innovate on things without AI. That's when I'm most interested. And also that's one way to bring me into the PC hardware market a bit more. Because I think that's where it's going to stop self, where it's going to start to improve and gain interest. Like the Silverstone case that looks retro as fuck. You know, that's like a big deal for me because I've been waiting for hardware that, not hardware but cases, I mean, don't look like rainbow shit. As much as I like a rainbow, I just want something that didn't do that. Something that looks, in my PC rather, looked like it was old and basically not worth stealing. Make it look like from the 90s or so, and no one would ever touch it, even if it feels like carrying it around and stuff. But it'd be like a pretty cool thing. I like super PCs and also like small form factors as well, which also can be equally as deceiving because of the fact that they're really small. I used to actually follow a channel about like ultra small form factors, where there's like a PC that fits in the palm of your hand. Just crazy to think about. I can't remember if it had a sorry, what system it sort of had like storage wise, but I know you can get everything else pretty much shortened and whatever it is. And that it's always so fascinating. But yeah, I still think a lot of this is kind of valid though. Yeah, systems really could improve and stuff. Yeah, stretch. But I think Valve need to understand that I don't think anyone in the PC market is sort of ready for this. it's still far too early for this sort of system and far too dangerous too, to mention that. So we also get to see what others can do with the Steam machine, like if there's a way to improve it, make the performance better, make it more recognisable. There's just so many different things, and also you got that interchangeable front cover, which not only is a gimmick, but it certainly adds some uniqueness to it. But it wasn't like the main appeal. But I guess from an engineering fee, it seems like it's impressively done and stuff. Did see a bit of the Solarium imaging on Keir's Nexus. I can't remember what it did exactly. I think it's the airflow and monitors, and it found it goes out the outtake and then goes over it or something. I can't remember. I'll probably explain it poorly as well. Yeah. Again, it tried something, but it ultimately failed. I think it's obviously like time to move on from that, in all honesty. Obviously it'll be worth like doing new versions of the machine, or just maybe even just halting all the sort of orders for it and stuff, so that things can be figured out, things can be improved, can be made better. I think that's probably the best way to go at the moment. So, I don't really know what else to add. I'm tired, and I do need to finish off my hobbies. Pretty much done today. I need to take a dump, but somebody has been teasing me and it hasn't happened. So yeah, that'll be it for the podcast. So I shall leave, and thanks for listening. Question mark?